Hey there, my name is Max Gärtner and today we'll take a closer look at the Pearl Mallet Station. I've been using it for quite a while now, I think it's a great gadget, and in this tutorial I will show you how to use it for your classical mallet practice, but also how to connect it with your favorite music apps, some amazing synthesizers and also the DAW inside your computer. We'll also talk about some electroacoustic setups where you can use it with your vibraphone, your marimba phone, and I will also record some performance stuff for you so you can see how I'm using it. Hope you enjoy! Alright, let's take a closer look. The Mallet Station has these wide, touch-sensitive pads, some faders and knobs at the side also. We'll take a closer look at this later. It's heavier than I thought, I have to say, as I was seeing on the pictures, but it turned out that's a great thing. Because if I put it on my stand or on the table, wherever I want to play it, and even if I hit it very hard with 2 or 4 mallets, it won't move any bit, which gives me great safety for my performances. It also comes with these gray rubber badges, which help me to show the empty spaces between the semitones here in the second row. We are free to choose which note we want to be the lowest because it's a MIDI controller. I mean, we can set this up as we would like to, but for me, I want to keep it with a vibraphone scenario. So I'm putting these gray badges wherever you can see in the back with my real vibraphone are the empty spaces between those semitones here in the second row. Let me do that quickly. Okay, so immediately we have some good orientation, can see wherever which note is, and we're ready to go. Let's have a quick look at the back of the Mallet Station. We have these 3 possibilities to insert a sustain, switch, or an expression pedal. Also, here is a USB slot to connect it to your devices. And this little one here is called the output for the KMI Expander. And what this is, I'll show you in a second. So, this tiny blue box is the KMI Expander. KMI stands for Keith McMillen Instruments, with whom Pearl collaborated on the Mallet Station project. Let's see what we've got. We got this input here, comes from this tiny expander slot I showed you a second before on the back of the Mallet Station. This one is a USB slot going out to the power supply. And we have a MIDI in and a MIDI out to both send and receive MIDI information from any device like a synth or a DAW, etc. So let's try it out. Alright, so let's keep it simple for a second with this minimal setup, just using my iPad and the Mallet Station. The USB out of the Mallet Station goes directly inside this tiny adapter inside the iPad, and you're good to go, just taking these 2 items and go out for a jam in the garden or something, which is great. This is my audio out, goes to the interface now so I can record whatever I'm playing and you can hear it. And this is my sustain pedal, so if I'm later using some synthesizers or piano apps, I have the chance to also play some longer notes and some shorter notes. So let's see what we can do with this. Okay, so for this first jam, let's go with GarageBand, which is a great app. It's free and it provides lots of possibilities. We can for sure do a nice track with that now. Okay, before we go on, I quickly came under the table to show you something about the pedals I talked before. Let's have a look at this. I just have a standard sustain pedal. You might know this from the keyboard or something. I have an expression pedal, which allows me to switch volume or other things directly in the instrument. And I have a standard A-B switch by Boss that allows me to switch between 2 different parameters. Okay, so that being said, let's get up again and make some music. Come on! Maybe let's try to start with some beat sequencing to get some inspiration for some synths we add later. I like this aleatoric thing here quite much that provides some beats on the fly, but we can also like choose some patterns out of this list here. Let's go with some maybe 808 beat. Yeah, nice one. Okay, so let's search for a synth to add. Alchemy synth is this one here. It provides nice sounds. Yeah, maybe we can do this a bit louder. Yeah, great. So, and let's like just, there are some options, high pass, fast gate, offset lo-fi. But I think this pulsating thing might be a nice thing for us to go with now. So, and for now, let's record some drums. So we can loop that and play over it right now. Okay, so let's cut it here. Maybe just 2 beat measures, it's like the same all the time. We hit loop and are good to go. So let's have a look at the balance. Not quite bad. Maybe we can, because for us now the synth is quite important. I'll just do the drum a bit more silent. So okay, so let's have a look at the synth. We have some different kinds of functions here. Let's see what our modulation wheel does with the sound. Very nice. Okay, so maybe some more delay, resonance, and we can also play with a cut off at the beginning. So let's go. Alright, let's have a short look at the faders and buttons on the right side here. These two might be familiar to you if you already know some synthesizers or electric pianos. They're usually built as wheels that turn. In this case, they're faders. The left one is the modulation fader. You see if I move the finger over it, the red light follows me. And whenever I put the finger away, it stays in this position. That marks the amount of modulation, like an effect or something you add to your sound. The right one is the pitch wheel or pitch fader. You see there's a constant red light blinking in the middle. This is like the normal position if you play a note and then you move the fader upwards, the pitch will get higher, and if you move it down, the pitch will get lower. And you see whenever I put my finger away, it directly jumps into the normal position. So you have the normal note you played before ringing them. Here is the place where you say which you want to be your low note. I told you before I want it to be an F, like in a classical vibraphone setup, but you can easily change that with these two buttons. These two are the octave buttons. You have the chance to play lower octaves when you push the low button and higher octaves when you push the button up here. That's almost the same like in every synthesizer. You have a small keyboard to make it not a too big instrument, but most of the instruments have a range of like at least like 88 bars, like a grand piano or even more, and you can change that easily with these two buttons. And there are also like 4 buttons here and another fader up here, and I will show you in a second how you can MIDI map all those faders and buttons and easily decide which function which button or fader has in the malletSTATION software and also in your music apps or your DAW. So let's have a look at the malletSTATION software. we first have to open our Audio-Midi Setup, and then like click here. It's in German, unfortunately, but it's like Show MIDI Studio. And here you see all your USB MIDI controllers that are connected to your computer or that have been connected before. So to be honest, it's quite a mess. Actually, I should like clean that up a bit. But for the moment, what we can see here is the mallet station. If I double click on that, you can see the mallet station is ready. That's this checkbox here. And yeah, we see all the channels that it has and everything else. But just to make sure, we have the mallet station attached. What I did now is just I moved out of the USB out of the mallet station and just plugged this USB cable inside my computer. Nothing else needed. It's just connected now. So we're going to close that. And I already opened the software here. We can see the mallet station software. We also can see it's connected. So this shows mallet station's connection status. Yeah, very important. You can see every bar of the mallet station here. And also, as I told you before, I decided to have low note F. So you also see all our gap caps here, the rubber bars I attached to the mallet station before. And in this case, I select one. You can see this one is selected off. So the gap caps have no function at all. If I hit them with my mallet, nothing will happen. I could also change that. If I click here, it's this, this number thing from 0 to 127 are the MIDI information numbers that are sent when something happens. And I could also like select any of those bars and attach a number. So, I mean, a note would be played or something else would happen if I hit it. But at the moment, they're not activated. Also the same with all those buttons and faders. These are the buttons you remember from the mallet station. And these are the faders. Like I select this one now. You can see it's the pitch bend fader. We talked about that. And this is the other modulation fader. And this is like the CC, the change control number is like 1. So this is the value that is like controlled with this modulation fader. Here's this fader above. We see our pedal options and also see the things that they are controlling. Sustain is like really an internal, it's not like a control change channel. It's the internal sustain. So it's like every time this pedal is pressed, the sustain function will be controlled. And yeah, we can, I won't show that because Pearl already showed that very well on their channel. You have the chance to calibrate all your pads, which is a great thing. You can just play some silent notes, some loud notes, and so the MIDI station gets to learn what you are thinking, like, a silent note should be or a loud note should be. So you have the chance to play very nice dynamics. Okay, so that being said about the mallet station, we're now jumping over to my Ableton Live DAW and look what we can do if we just want to use our mallet station together with our computer and nothing else. I will show you some of the plugins I use frequently and how you can change every button and every fader's function easily directly in Ableton Live. Okay, so let's do a second little experiment with this iPad kind of setup. We start with the NodeBeat app, which I love very much because it also does some aleatoric harmonic and rhythmic work. I'm adding some drum machines here because I wanted to do a groove for us. You can see they send some impulses here, and when they hit these tiny dots, they produce some snare, hi-hat, bass drum sounds. Great. Yeah. So, and because I activated background audio, this will continue. I, by the way, can also add some nice work here. It will continue when I'm opening the next app, which is the app AniMoog. And I will do some bass sound here. By the way, you can see if I move the shifter, the modulation shifter here, you can see this frequency knob is turning around, so we can play around a bit with the frequency of this bass sound. So let's see what happens. Alright, let's experiment with some kind of setup that I often use in my performances. I have the mallet station in between here on a kind of keyboard synth stand that allows me to put it slightly above the semitones so I can get all that stuff a bit closer. I'm controlling the KORG MicroKorg with the mallet station at the moment, using a arpeggiator and a trance kind of preset patch. And I have my sustain pedal here at the right to make the tones of the synth much longer. And yeah, just build a kind of drone kind of thing using the bow and the vibraphone and see what happens. Alright, so let's take a look at what happens if you want to use your mallet station with a Native Instruments MASCHINE. Quick view of the setup. The KMI output goes into this expand input. This goes out to the power supply, so our mallet station gets its power from this blue box at the moment. This MIDI out goes directly into the MIDI in of the MASCHINE, which means we're sending MIDI information from the mallet station into MASCHINE and can control all the instruments there. I'm running my MASCHINE software at the moment via my Ableton Live DAW because I like to collect everything inside one DAW. All the microphones of the studio, etc. go inside there, but you're also able to use the standalone software from Native Instruments to use this kind of setup. So let's have a look at the sounds. First group could be our drum groove maybe. I very much like this lo-fi setups from Great Cuts here. Maybe this one. So maybe we do a pattern with that and check it out. Very nice. Okay, let's hang with this. Group B, maybe we can like search for a bass kind of sound here, maybe get a bit like, let's go another piano keys, let's search for a bass sound. Maybe some wobbling deep bass here. Let's hang on with this deep one at the beginning. Maybe this one. Okay, so we can control this one via our mallet station, so let's check it out. We go one octave down here to get a better bass sound. And listen what this does to our sound, our effect slider here. Adds like higher frequencies, some more drive. Very nice. Okay, so group 3, let's have some ambient things also. We could go with the playbox thing here. Just like a... Maybe we can search for some piano kind of thing. Ah, that's very nice. We can control this one via the pads on the MASCHINE if we like. Okay, and we're ready to go. Let's make a track. Okay, so let's jump into my Ableton Live Door for a second. I just want to show you how to use the mallet station, just plugging your USB cable to the computer and you're good to go. Yeah, I'm in the instrument rack here. Let's have a look for some standard xylophone sounds. Maybe here's the orchestral part. Just in case, I mean, we talked about synthesizers and creative stuff, but let's check it out. Like if you want to just practice some xylophone parts or something like that, you could also like use a vibraphone or a marimba sound, whatever is like into your Ableton Live plugins, but you can also like purchase any extra sounds, of course. So now you have the chance to see your xylophone part here. I just plugged it into, I just dragged and dropped it into this MIDI track. And yeah, you can see like some parameters. It's like the volume, the color, the motion speed. It's very different depending on which instrument you use. By the way, if you just have a quick jump here into the preferences, you can see if you're in the MIDI setup that the mallet station is shown here as it's plugged into my USB. So make sure you can see it here and everything is activated. So whenever I am now playing the mallet station, I will hear a xylophone sound. For a second before we start trying the sounds, I wanted to show you if, like, as I said, in the xylophone part, it's like you can see some of these parameters that might change, of course, depending on which instrument you use. But for now, I just wanted to show you, let's say you want to have one of your faders to control your color of the instrument, like this parameter. How to do this in Ableton is like you just activate this MIDI mapping mode here. You then click on the fader that you want to change. And now come to your mallet station and just like touch and move the fader you want to control this parameter so it kind of gets connected with it. Now this pops up and you see now the fader is connected with the color of your sound. And when we try something out now, we will play some xylophone and I will like touch the fader a bit to see what it does to our sound. Let's see. As you can see, if I'm moving this fader, the color knob that we MIDI mapped with this turns around parallel to my finger motion. Let's have a double check what exactly the color does with the sound. Sound gets a bit lower frequencies. The frequencies change a lot. It gets brighter when the color knob is turned around all the way. When it's turned down. So you're good to go for your first xylophone practice sessions now with the mallet station. Alright, and even if it's very, very cool that you're able now to just have a practice session on the xylophone, on the glockenspiel, all with the mallet station and your Ableton Live Door, I'm going to the Contact 7 instrument by Native Instruments here. Drop this into my MIDI track. You immediately see my whole library, all the sounds that I use very often, amazing plugins from Native Instruments, but for the moment I'm loading another thing. It's called the Cassette Vibraphone and it's a plugin from ThePhonoLoop. I'll post a link in the show notes for this one. And this is how the surface looks like. Cassette obviously sounds a bit lo-fi, and this is exactly what you partly have to expect here. Some amazing presets with lo-fi vibraphone sound with modulation, some filters and effects. Yeah, and just let's dive into this for a second and have a jam with some of my favorite presets. So here I'm using the KORG Volca Series. I like this very much because everything that you can see here is possible to be run with battery power. That means we can take a mallet station and all of these tiny instruments go out and have performances in the fields wherever you like. And if you know some of my other videos, you might know that I'm a huge fan of performing outdoors. It gives me much inspiration. So, quick view at the setup. It's the same here. We come out of the KMI output into the blue box. This is the power for all of the malletSTATION stuff. And the MIDI out goes inside the MIDI in of the Volca keys here. We could also do it in the MIDI in of the bass or the drums, but I prefer to play the keys with the malletSTATION, and we'll do a quick arrangement with the other instruments, like a tiny beat, bass line. I prepared something, and yeah, let's see how it ends up. Alright, so let me take a second to show you one other gadget. I have many synths on the table, and I use the Kenton MIDI Thru. This is the MIDI Thru 5, which means I have one MIDI in that comes from our blue box. We already know this, the MIDI Expander that comes out of the Pearl malletSTATION, and the MIDI out goes inside the MIDI in of this Kenton MIDI Thru. And I have the possibility to attach up to 5 different MIDI outs, or MIDI throughs as they call it, and every of these cables goes to one of the synthesizers I have on my table. So what we can do now is everything I'm playing with the malletSTATION will be sent at the same time to all of the synthesizers on this table, which means when I now just play a repeated note here, you can hear nothing because all the volumes are turned down. But if I turn the volume up from one or the other synthesizer, you just hear the sound of this synthesizer at the moment. That's the KORG Minilogue, the MicroKorg, and my very first synthesizer, the Arturia MicroFreak. Which is pretty much fun. So that means if I play a pattern, I can mix. So to sum that up, we could add lots of synthesizers to our setup, and we could use the MIDI through to control all of them at the same time with our mallet station. We don't have to put new cables inside or something. We can use loop stations or DAWs to add layers and layers and layers of new sounds with different synthesizers, or we could just like use them in a row, like change the attack or the decay or the sound of each synthesizer so they together come as a choir of synths or something like that. So easy going with this, and lots of fun to play with that. I think it's worth checking it out. Alright, so thank you for watching the tutorial. If you enjoyed this one, make sure to leave a like and to subscribe to my channel. Also, if there are any questions left or you want to share your mallet station story, just put it in the comments. Also, make sure to check out my other performance videos, and see you next time.